So a lot of friends have reached out to me recently, all from different walks of life, backgrounds, political beliefs, sides of the aisle, all with one similar opinion, that the Queen's Gambit is phenomenal and that I need to watch it as soon as possible. And this is incredible to me because right now we are in the midst of an incredibly supercharged political climate, extreme division, extreme anxiety, yet the Queen's Gambit has attracted people from all sorts of backgrounds, many of whom have no experience with chess, a limited understanding of chess, yet all of whom have become obsessed with chess. And so I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking about why. And I've come to the realization that it's about art. It's about humanity and art. See, when you watch The Queen's Gambit, you're not watching 8 to 10 episodes. You're watching the sacrifices, the struggles, the perseverance, and the devotion of so many artists involved in the production. You know, the cinematographers, the costume designers, the set designers, the lighting designers, the actors, the writers, the sound editors. So many people who devoted their lives and devoted their talents to this project. And that's art. That's humanity. Art has been that factor that transcends every belief, that transcends every political exchange, that can unite us as a country moving forward post-pandemic into a world filled with excitement and joy and love and acceptance and respect. Some aspects that have been forgotten about by many people. So when we look at the Queen's Gambit, we see this game of chess. We become enthralled in someone's mind, in someone's thought process, and become enamored by this game that we don't know anything about. Chess becomes intriguing, sexy, and we can't take our eyes off of it. We're there rooting for Elizabeth, telling her to go on, attack that rook, even though we have no clue what that means for many of us, like myself. But it's incredible how this show has brought together so many people, so many who never thought about chess. So I want to talk about art, because really art has been the sustenance. If we think about the pandemic and what we faced, what has brought that bit of joy to our everyday life? Music, novels, SNL skits, TV shows that we binge watched. They're all art. It's all art. A lot of times people tell me that I'm artsy, and I really don't understand this expression. Oh, you're so artsy. You like going to museums. That's so artsy. What does that mean? Because as we've just talked about, art is so much more. Art isn't only limited to a painting or a sculpture, but it's the song lyrics, the words on a page in that novel that haunt you for the rest of your life, that movie, that video game. That's art, the sick beats in that song. Art is what resonates with you. William Shakespeare is one of the most phenomenal artists because his work is so nuanced. In each play, there are different levels of depth. There is writing meant for different audiences, meant to resonate with their own experiences. So there is, in every single play, you can look at and find the dirty, raunchy humor. But you can also find the most profound metaphors, the most beautiful words that you can read over and over and over again and watch be performed by many different actors and experience something new, experience something unique, learn something, and never quite grasp to the fullest. Every time you hear it or you see it or you read it, there's something new. So art isn't just an intellectual phenomena limited to people of a specific demographic or education or life experience, because there's a part of art that can resonate with every single one of us. In The Queen's Gambit, art is the drama. There's art in the game. There's art in the pieces. There's art in the eyes, the eye movement. That feeling that you get when you're watching it, that suspense, your heart racing, that joy, that satisfaction, that's art. If we look at the 1918 pandemic and we think about what came afterwards, after this anxiety, after this isolation, this pent up stress and lack of living, came the roaring 20s, came this birth in cinema, in fashion, and music, and literature, and architecture. There was this craze. There was this vitality that suddenly took over the world and changed the world as we know it. And that's what I think we can look at right now, moving forward, making art relevant to people, because there is relevance in art, because every Netflix show that you watch, every Taylor Swift song or whatever it is that you listen to over quarantine, the new album that brought that extra bit of brightness into your life, that's art. You can find art where you look for art. I think that really we need to understand that. And we need to know, as artists, who many of us might be facing the question of whether or not to give up. I know that many people have given up. Many artists have felt that they weren't doing enough, that they weren't helping to make the world a more habitable place, that their work was not necessarily essential for survival. If on a deserted island and we only could have certain tools on an island to survive, that a ballet wouldn't be one of them. But is that true? Because what is worth surviving for if we don't have art, if we don't have that shared human experience that brings us that respect, that kindness, that compassion? If we don't have that experience, what is it worth to survive for? What is there to live for? So as an artist right now, facing this question, facing this challenge, feeling like you're not necessarily doing what's needed, what's essential, what you're doing is making life worth living. And that is so special. So we can look at art and we can look at songs. Now, in the past, I loved bopping around to the Village People's YMCA. And there's someone else right now who's been bopping around to that song. A man who I really don't like. A man who is very different than myself and from many of you. But he's embraced that song. It's become his fight song. It's become his anthem. And I don't know when I'll be able to listen to that song again. But that's art. Different backgrounds, different experiences, all embracing something similar. And that's what we need. That's what transcends everything. To move forward, art infuses us with empathy. Whether we like it or not, when we read a novel or we watch The Queen's Gambit, we are infused into someone else's life, into someone else's perception of the world, into someone else's story and experience. And we live through them. We're playing that game of chess like Elizabeth. Every move we are involved in, we are invested, we are waiting, our hearts are racing, waiting for her to make that move. That's empathy. Art is empathy. Art infuses us with compassion and kindness and empathy. We experience what other people are experiencing. This common thread of humanity. So moving forward, let's embrace that. Let's acknowledge the fact that while art may not be deemed essential, it's what makes it worth living for. In the future, in our new 20s that we can create, we can prioritize art. And we can use it as a tool to reunite, to realize compassion, to realize respect, to understand what people are going through and understanding those struggles. Acknowledging that dedication, that sacrifice, and those experiences that really are everything. to someone. If we look at that, and we just look at the Queen's Gambit as an example of something that has united us, despite many differences, and despite no prior love of chess or understanding of chess even for many of us, we can get forward. You know, maybe for you, the Queen's Gambit has inspired you to pick up chess. Now you've purchased a chessboard and you are learning about the game. Or maybe you're like me and you've realized that chess would be the absolute worst thing for your psyche because you know that you would become obsessed and that would take over your life. I will not be doing that because I know how obsessed and how crazed I would become with the game. So I hope that we can recognize this, and I hope we can look at this moving forward, understand what unites us, what brings us together, that special thread that is humanity, that is empathy, that is everything worth living.